Let me start first with the news, with the Roman Reigns contract status update. What he signed, when he signed it, what the future is, because we all know there is a whole heap of drama. Bloody hell. Got a replay. A whole heap of drama about to land on our shoulders that I'm going to need to talk about. So before we do that, let's talk about Roman Reigns and the fact of the matter. So we have seen reports already as regards the current contract status of Roman Reigns. A promo that he cut 2 days ago made a lot of people very confused and made a lot of people think, oh, Roman Reigns is out the door. I want to be very clear before we even start. Roman Reigns is not out the door. Roman Reigns is not planning at current to leave the WWE. I actually made a video a couple of weeks back about Roman Reigns' Hollywood ambitions and stated not that much interest from Hollywood as of yet in Roman Reigns. He's not swanning off to Hollywood. He has not received 1,000,001 different contract offers and big movie offers from The Rock, who is not a studio executive to my knowledge. So I want to quickly start with a rumour killer for all of the different videos that I've seen from so many people on YouTube, filled with question mark, exclamation mark, Roman Reigns leaving WWE? Is Roman Reigns leaving the WWE? Is Roman Reigns one foot out the door? No. Roman Reigns is not leaving the WWE. It sounds like, from the information I'm getting, around about 2 weeks ago, Roman Reigns signed a new deal with the WWE. We're looking at 3 to 5 years currently of extra Roman to look forward to on a limited date deal. Now, the limited date deal is something that I've been discussing for a long time here on the Tom Collihue channels, and indeed as far back as my time at Sportskeeda, because I first discussed this to my knowledge when Randy Orton signed a new contract, which was many, many years ago. This was followed by a new contract deal for AJ Styles, which was on limited date, and Becky Lynch, who was also on limited date. Daniel Bryan, for the longest time, also had a limited date contract, and it's believed that the Usos may also have a limited date. The WWE are planning to change a number of contracts in the near future to make them limited date based on the desires of WWE talent. Now, when you reach a certain level in the WWE, and I do believe Charlotte Flair will be the next one to get the limited date contract, you do have the negotiating power to say, I want to get paid the same, but I want to work less. It is exactly what first drew Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to WCW, limited date contracts. And that is what has been signed around 2 weeks ago by Roman Reigns. Essentially, you'll still see him on TV pretty much all the time, but he'll wrestle less and he will appear at less live shows. There is also a strong possibility he will go back to being Smackdown exclusive sooner rather than later. This may also have had a direct impact on the change to the WrestleMania Backlash card. That change, of course, being the removal of the unification of the Tag Team Championships. That may have required Roman Reigns to be on both Raw and SmackDown. This prevents him from having to do so, and it may mean that he loses one or both of those championships sooner rather than later, possibly in a way that, to be blunt, does not make a lot of sense. But Roman Reigns has committed in a big way to the WWE in signing a new deal for 3 to 5 years, and we will be seeing the Tribal Chief leading the way for many years to come. Now, as Sai says there, it does prove that the document doing the rounds with contract expiry dates is a work of fiction. Well, it's definitely not accurate, I'll tell you that. Now, I'm still waiting to see anyone even ask for a source on the image that went around stating that Roman Reigns' contract was nearly up. I didn't see anyone asking for a source. I haven't seen a source. How many times have we sat in this group, in this chat, in these channels and said, always check your sources, always ask for a source, and so many people out there don't do so. They absolutely do not do so when they 100% should. What this allows the WWE to do, to be blunt, is focus more on younger talent coming through. They can have Madcap Moss wrestle more often at live shows where he can potentially get more over with the crowd. They can have people featuring on Raw solo rather than having time eaten up by Roman Reigns on every single show. there are opportunities created by limited date contracts, such as the one currently enjoyed by Roman Reigns. The reason that this has hit the news is because Roman Reigns decided so. Before WrestleMania, Roman Reigns made a comment about AEW. Roman Reigns trended. WrestleMania trended. Before WrestleMania Backlash, Roman Reigns made a comment about potentially not coming back to a town in a live show. Roman Reigns trended. WrestleMania Backlash trended. It's a trick. It is a trick. And wrestling media flooded the airwaves with the phrase, Roman Reigns is leaving WWE. End result of this, of course, was that it became everywhere. It became viral. It became unstoppable. Everyone needed to discuss it, but in reality, there was no story here. Consider this the Roman Reigns rumour killer. There is no story. There is nothing to report. Roman Reigns is going to be as present on TV as ever he has been. Nothing will change from a viewer perspective. Nothing at all. Right, okay. I did not have time to set up my announcement tweet, so if you'll give me a moment, I'll set that up. Thank you, Jaden, for the new follow. Appreciate that over on the Twitter side. Brings up to, I believe, 470. So I'm going to pop over and just quickly pitch out an announcement tweet stating that we are live. Nope, that's the picture. Accidentally hit a thing. Roman Reigns is still trending. We are live right now with details of Roman Reigns' contract status with the WWE. Could have been so easy. Could have been so easy. Let's catch up with the comments. Ed says, like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell. Please do, folks. Please remember that every like goes a long way to the growth of this channel and the increase in viewership. We saw quite a lot of that last night, I'll tell you that. And of course, every new subscriber means more views, means more growth, means more ad revenue when that's all sorted. Sean says, hello, Tom. Good evening to you, and a good evening to you too, Sean. How are you? The user says, hi, mate. Hello, the user. Great to see you. Ed says, The Rock does have a movie studio, 7 Bucks Productions. I did not know that. I did not know that. Well, colour me surprised. If I cut that out and make it a YouTube video on its own, I'd imagine everyone will ignore all of the actual content and focus entirely on that. But thanks for the update. Do appreciate that. I sounded very sarcastic. I'm not best pleased right now. Brandon says, hello, Tom. Unfortunately, due to working all weekend, I fell asleep just as Backlash was starting. Can only apologise for missing the rest of your stream. Oh, no worries whatsoever, Brandon. Thank you for dropping in, joining. It was a hell of a stream. Really great fun. Over the course of 5 hours, we had more than 100 hours of watch time and more than 2,000 views. It's been great. It's been fantastic. So it says it does prove that documenting the rounds with contract expiry dates is a work of fiction. It does. Kuro's here. Hello, Kuro. Simon says, hey, Tom. Hello, Simon. Wolfgamer says, hello, Tom. How the devil are you today? Well, Wolfgamer. Not exactly best pleased with my Discord at the moment. I will be speaking to people, but I may need to get myself some community managers who can step in and bust some fucking skulls at times. Anyway, sorry, bit bitter. Hello, Connor. How the devil are you? Thank you for renewing your subscription for a 9th month in a row. Haven't checked on the cupboard recently. Hope you're doing well. Jermaine says, hi, Tom. Hello, Jermaine. Jay Quick says, could we be getting triple threat matches if the Money in the Bank winners wait till Mania? To be clear, there is no intention of any change happening with the Money in the Bank stipulation. The Money in the Bank ladder match is still to determine a contract for a championship match whenever you want one. The intention was to suggest that, maybe we'll see something like when Seth Rollins made it a triple threat. That was not the delivery that we ended up with, and it somehow passed the editing team. I can't blame Cody, he was reading the script, but there is no plan to change the Money in the Bank stipulations. So I says, if Roman is on reduced dates, they better get their skates on with rebuilding their roster. They do need to do that. They absolutely do. Now, because he's on limited dates, and that will mostly affect live shows, he won't need to worry too much about dropping the championship because he'll still be featured as much as normal on TV. To my knowledge, it's looking at 180 to 200 dates compared to what it previously was with about 300. It means he gets to spend more time with his family and still be the tribal chief. You know, it's important. Simon says, Sasha and Naomi are on Raw tonight. Tweeted out and put it on their Insta. I did see that, at least from Naomi. I would imagine we're going to see something involving Nikki Cross, Nikki Ash, and Doudrop. Would make perfect sense to me. Spider-Boss says, hi Tom, any chance of seeing the feud of Mustafa Ali versus Theory turning into something like Cena versus CM Punk? No, main basis being that Cena and CM Punk were global megastars by the time they actually had that feud. Ali and Theory are not. Could still be a fun match, and I like the idea of the championship being stolen. Won't be as big, but it would be fun. Jay Quick says, are you surprised with Fightful having the match order right that WWE didn't try to switch it up? No, honestly not. As I have said previously, the WWE at the moment are trying to figure out who's leaking to who. So the fact that Fightful got it right may actually work against them. Also, from what I can tell, Fightful did not have the best of nights. Little bit of gratuity from the actual Fightful account. Now, when it comes to the individuals in question, some of you may believe what has been said. Some of you may not. That's all I'm going to say. Noob says, hello Tom, how are you doing today? I'm doing okay, thank you Noob. Great to see you. I'm still sort of buzzing off the end of, even though WrestleMania Backlash itself wasn't the best show in the world, we did have one hell of a showing when it comes to our watch party. As I say, at the moment we are sitting on, I think it was about 2,500 views at the end. Let me just double check. It says no kink shaming. You know how it works. I don't yuck anyone's yum. We're at 2.4 thousand views on our Backlash live stream, and we gained about 9 subscribers on it, which is an incredibly good number. To anyone who's currently watching off the back of that show, welcome. My name's Tom Collique. I do wrestling news here. This is Spoiler Warning. By all means, ask your questions, like and subscribe if you haven't. Jermaine says the only thing that will change with Roman Reigns is he will lose one title to Cody Rhodes, another title to Drew McIntyre by the end of the year. Now, firstly, Jermaine, that's what I expected and reported was most likely after WrestleMania, and that's also what Roman Reigns said. So we can confirm for certain now, Roman Reigns, he watches Spoiler Warning. Hi, Roman. Hi, Yukio. Jaden says, can Sasha get that contract? Sasha does not want that contract. Sasha wants a full-time contract because she worries, or at least the WWE worries, what's going next might not be beneficial to the WWE. Thomas, welcome, says, might be controversial, but Roman Reigns is the most over wrestler out there at the moment. I don't think that's controversial at all. I think he is the number one wrestler in the world right now. Some may disagree, and they're entitled to do so, but I think he's the number one guy. Joey says, how's it going, Tom? Welcome, Joey. How you doing, mate? Great to see you. Austin says, they signed Cody, now re-signed Roman. This proves Vince has the money. If Moxley becomes available, the money will be there. Yeah, and he will throw everything possible at Jon Moxley. I'm going to be really blunt on this one. Vince McMahon is very interested in Jon Moxley. He's not interested in a return for Dean Ambrose. He's very interested in Jon Moxley. He knows when Jon Moxley's contract will expire, and his intention is very much to start throwing money immediately, which should be fun. Megan says hello. Hello, Megan. Amazed you didn't immediately bring a fact. Instead, you just said hello. I was disappointed. Kuro says it's a Tom and Tom show. Is there another Tom here? Is there another Tom here? Were you watching what I was doing earlier? Jermaine says, anyway, house shows are supposed to be used to help develop talent anyway. If it means he works less house shows, doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it also means he's going to be touring less. So, for example, Roman is unlikely to be on UK tours, India tours in future. He'll be there for like the UK pay-per-view, but that will probably be it. Simon is excited for football. Good luck. Sean says, thoughts on Backlash? It wasn't all that great. It wasn't amazing, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I think if you go into it with low expectations, that's good, but at the same time, you shouldn't have that low expectations. It was fairly by the numbers. My predictions are 5 out of 6, so not perfect, but still almost too good. Particularly for like Omos and... It is Riddick Moss. Madcap Moss. They didn't quite reach the levels we were aiming for. Bro says, what's with the Cody Money in the Bank promo that caught Twitter on fire? Is there a change coming or something? No, it was just badly scripted. Jermaine says the house... I've already read that. Jane says, could the brother of the Usos join the Bloodline soon? I really hope not, because I would like him to be defined by something other than being the 5th most important person in the Bloodline. Kura says it means Roman can be the tribal chief in and out of the ring, and very much that is the plan. Spider-Boss says, I wonder if Sasha can get a big contract soon. She's on a pretty big contract, mate. It says, yes, Jermaine, but house shows need to sell tickets, so having championships on the shows is also important. That is true. Roman will be doing less house shows. He will still be doing the occasional one. Still the occasional one. It does make sense. Dimitar says, with Charlotte gone, they would need heels on SmackDown. Shayna is not enough. Absolutely correct. We certainly have to start asking questions of the future for Lacey Evans. Are we going Hollywood Hogan rather than Hulk Hogan? Other than that, though, it would involve drafts. And as I mentioned, Naomi. I got my eye on Naomi there. Bloodline versus Ronda. It could be fun. Simon is once again asking about City. I don't think either of those are Pep Guardiola signings, and I don't think he'll really know what to do with someone like Haaland. Just don't make sense. Sean says, think we get introduced to Bianca's next challenger for Hell in a Cell? Yeah, I'd imagine so. It makes the most sense, and I think Rhea Ripley's already well placed to be that person. Just well placed to be that person. She's just got all of the heat going in, firstly with breaking up with Liv Morgan, and then, of course, going forwards, as Neil said, reunite, the unity with Edge. It's a good-looking faction, and it should have a major impact. Now, I do think Rhea Ripley will have at least something involving Liv Morgan, but I suspect that's going to be a match tonight, which Rhea's going to destroy Liv. Before we then get to the 6-person matches, as it were. Austin says, who could face Ronda now? Probably won't be Shayna yet. No, I don't think it will be Shayna yet. Lacey Evans is the obvious choice at this point, and it does mean she's picking up a loss. Though, as I did mention during the live stream of Backlash, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Bayley return and be the first challenger in a losing effort against Ronda. Spider-Boss says, how long will Charlotte be off TV on SmackDown? Until around SummerSlam. I expect in and around SummerSlam, either featuring on SummerSlam card or featuring immediately after SummerSlam. Either way, they are orbiting the SummerSlam area for the return of Charlotte Flair. She definitely won't miss the draft. So at the earliest, SummerSlam. At the latest, the draft. Hector says, Rhea joining Edge's faction was a great shout, but a part of me wishes they would have swerved us. It was someone out of left field, like surprise of the late 90s, early 2000s. If it would have been Liv, that would have been pretty cool. I'd have liked that as an option. Joey says, I think Edge's faction will add one more member. I agree. I'd imagine you expect it's going to be Tommaso Ciampa, because that's the rumoured guy. Austin says, could we see Bliss tonight to start a feud with Bianca? I do think Alexa Bliss is an option as well. I have been saying she's expected around about now, and Bianca does need new challengers. Asuka versus Becky Lynch should be on the Hell in a Cell card, so we're not worried about either of them being particularly involved, though it does make most sense if Bayley's not involved in this regard. Alexa Bliss versus Bianca Belair has been pitched, has been planned, and is going to be something they do going forward. I don't think the Hell in a Cell really needs it, and I do think we would be better off seeing Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, at least for a couple of weeks, while we get there. I know, right, Brandon? I know. That's what I'm going to have to do after this. It's amazing I'm able to stream right now. I'm not the community leader guy, but I got to crack some fucking skulls. I'm not happy. I am not happy. Jay Quick says, how many feuds will go into Hell in a Cell that was on last night? Seth Cody for sure. And I think Roman versus Drew may get the match, even though I don't fancy Drew's chances. But beyond that, I think that's about it, especially with Ronda Charlotte not involved. Thomas Phipps says, could we see Bloodline versus Judgment Day elimination match at Survivor Series? No, because that would mean basically all the championships become pointless. That said, it's not like we're going to see Roman Reigns versus Roman Reigns, which is why I'm pretty confident he's not going to be holding both championships come Survivor Series. Ross says, keep up the good work, Tom. Is there any change in Moxley's contract situation? Apologies if this has been covered previously. All I know is he mentioned his AEW1 was about to expire, and it still is. To my knowledge, there have been pitches made, but Jon Moxley has not signed a new contract at this point. He has not signed a new contract at this point. So, at the moment, his contract is due to expire in a matter of weeks. We're just waiting for that to actually happen. Of course, he may have his contract expire and then sign a new one, but if you've watched the AEW financial analysis, you will know why a new contract hasn't been signed just yet. Oh, go on, Spider Boss. Simon says, Agent Roman Seth on the mock signing case. Yeah, kind of. Why do you think he was getting the name drops? Why do you think? If you're currently watching on YouTube, please do remember to hit the like button. That little thumbs up can make a massive difference to the growth of the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already. During last night's show, we got more than 2,000 views, which is good. We also got 35 likes and a whole bunch of subscribers. Last night was a great show, and I was really hoping to be celebrating that today. My shadow is the other Tom. Interesting. Spider-Boss says, any chance of Alexa Bliss being Bianca's next opponent? Certainly a possibility. Kura says, not as much of a talker, not as much charisma, but he still shows up. I get what you're saying. Boss Pedal says, did you watch Rampage this week? Konosuke Takeshita versus Jay Lethal and Yuka Sakazaki versus Ryo were both really good. See, I like Jay White. I misread that. I see now it says Jay Lethal. I wanted it to say Jay White. I'm not that excited by that as a prospect, but no, I didn't see Rampage this week. I haven't really watched much Dynamite recently. I do want to change that at some point, but we are where we are. Welcome, Boss Pedal. Megan says, you want a fact? Last night was the first pay-per-view/PLE since Elimination Chamber 2020 not to have a WWE or Universal Championship defense. Yeah. See, we have the unification, and the end result is less championship matches. Raw's top championship right now is held by Bianca Belair. Now, that's not a bad thing, but certainly it means the WWE Championship is on quite the fall from grace. Sean says, is Charlotte's injury storyline or real? It is a kayfabe injury. Dimitar says the crowd loves Moss. They do, and all credit to him because he's managed to make himself over, as it were, Riddick Moss. So all credit to him for doing so. I think a lot of that credit also needs to go to Baron Corbin, though. Joey says Baron Corbin needs a gimmick change too. Baron Corbin's one of those whose gimmick has actually changed quite a lot. So he had the Lone Wolf initially. This was followed by the Sheriff of Raw. I believe it was Sheriff. Then it was... oh, what was it? Oh, King of the Ring. King Corbin. Then it was Broadcast Corbin. Now it's Happy Corbin. So he's been on the roster, I want to say 6 years. Main roster. In that time, he's had 5 gimmick changes. I'd like him to stick to one, but not this one. Spider-Boss says, if Charlotte is facing Sasha soon, it would be awesome if Charlotte cost the women's tag titles to Sasha. I don't think they need to do that. I think the tag titles are going away from Sasha pretty soon anyway, but we'll see how it plays out. Simon says, a Bayley feud will turn Ronda heel. The crowd will cheer Bayley over Ronda. The WWE ain't that stupid. Lacey Evans is a Marine, mate. She's a Marine. I got question marks about basically anyone right now facing Ronda. Sean says if they do SmackDown versus Raw for Survivor Series, which is the plan, we will get Ricochet versus Theory and Bianca versus Ronda. Sounds good, that, doesn't it? Like, I'd take that. I'd happily take that. Dimitar says the SmackDown roster is heavily babyface based, so I can see Ronda turning. Ronda, I'm sure, will turn eventually, around about the time we're getting closer to Becky versus Ronda for next year's Mania. Austin says, how many cell matches do you think we get? 2, maybe 3. 2, maybe 3 at most. I think Cody and Seth is made for the cell. Beyond that, I'm not sure. I don't think there are actually any women's matches that suit it at this point, so I don't think we're going to get a women's match, especially with Ronda having no actual opponents left. So maybe a tag match. Maybe RK Bro versus the Usos in a cell. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Kuro says AEW is broke. They're not broke. They're not broke. They're just not making any actual profit. Their revenue is quite high. It's just that they're not able to keep any of it. Joey says, have you heard any news about Cesaro's contract status? He's had a number of offers. He may have recently signed with a company. I can't guarantee, but there are certainly rumours at the moment that I'm hearing from scattered sources that Cesaro may be very close to returning to wrestling. Matthew Ham says, what matches are planned for Hell in a Cell and what matches will be inside the cell? At the moment, the plan is that we will have more Seth versus Cody. It sounds like Bianca will be defending the women's Raw Women's Championship, though they haven't necessarily decided who it's going to be against. Alexa Bliss is a common possibility. Becky Lynch and Asuka will take place at the Hell in a Cell, though I don't necessarily think that'll be in the cell like Cody versus Seth. Outside of that, I do think your outside chances is, RK Bro versus the Usos in the cell. Pardon me for the gassiness. Toxic Predator says, hi Tom. Hello Toxic, great to see you mate, how you doing? Thomas says, scenes if Mox turns up at Survivor Series as Roman's mystery opponent. I would have no issue with that, I would love it. Thank you very much Ed for renewing your Twitch subscription. That takes us up to 15 months, sir. You have been a subscriber for 15 months. That's how long I've been monetized on Twitch. 15 months. What a time to be alive. Ghost says, hi Tom and chat. How is everyone doing today? Just saw a situation on Discord and all I can say is yikes. Yeah, I know I've got to sort that out. It's the one thing I don't like about this whole like community leading and stuff. I don't want to be the guy jumping in and trying to stop people fighting, but that's the job. That's what I got to do. I don't have a choice. Yay me. Ross says, yeah, I watched the financial analysis. Good different show, that one. Incredible numbers in particular with Moxley. Indeed. He gets more than double what anyone else in AEW gets. $6 million a year. Now, Roman Reigns, in his new contract, has had a promotion when it comes to money. And the descriptions that I've had as regards that amount of money is totally ridiculous, totally worth it, and he might be the highest paid wrestler in the world. That's what we're talking about. When it comes to Roman Reigns, the WWE may have been releasing people just to make sure they could keep him. Simon says, do you think we ever see a Shield reunion down the road again sometime? I do. I think it may just be for a Hall of Fame induction, but I do think the moment will come. Sean says, last night at Backlash was the first televised loss for Bobby Lashley in 7 months. His last loss was to Goldberg at Crown Jewel last year, which I still don't quite believe is true. I don't believe anyone that match even happened. Ridiculous concept. We are where we are. And it shows really that they are still pushing Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is still being used in a very positive manner. Now, admittedly, right now he's doing the favours. But when Bobby Lashley does the favours, it tends to mean he's about to get some favours back. Jermaine says, according to Meltzer and Peter Insider, Charlotte Flair's getting married soon. Probably won't be back till sometime late summer. So she probably won't be back until after SummerSlam. Yeah, so again, that's what I'm expecting in and around SummerSlam time. Earliest, SummerSlam itself. Latest, whenever the draft may be, which is planned to be mid to late September. Simon says, happy marriage to Andrade and Charlotte. Dave Meltzer reported they're getting married. That's why Charlotte is taking time off. Fair enough. I've been made aware since. I wasn't aware before the show, but I've been made aware since that it's all planned, it's all kayfabe, and so on. No worries, Jay Quick, no worries. Bailey says there's a possible heel turn for Lacey after how she was introduced at Smackdown. Yeah, they left an opportunity there to make a quick change if they needed to, didn't they? Spider-Boss says now that Ronda is champion, how long will her title reign last? Until next year's WrestleMania, when she loses to Becky Lynch. That's what I'm thinking. Noob says, I hope that Charlotte Flair is going to have a fun summer. Me too. We'll miss her. We'll miss her. I want to say that real plain and clear. We will miss Charlotte Flair for as long as she's gone. Because outside of Ronda at the moment, there's not that much at the top level of SmackDown. There is Roman, there is Ronda, there is Drew, there is Sasha. That's kind of it. Steve says, what's up, Tom? Hope you're doing well. Hope Monday has been kind to you. So far it's been okay. Well, welcome, Steve. Hope you're having a good time. I saw you stream earlier. I didn't pop in this time. I'll watch it on catch-up as best I can to give you those sweet, sweet watch hours. But I did see you streaming. Sean says, Becky versus Asuka not in the cell. No reason for it. The feud's only just started. There is no point to putting them in the cell, even though they've had previous matches. If you're currently watching on YouTube, please do remember to hit that like button, that little thumbs up. Essentially guarantees more viewership for the streams. At the moment, after a couple of shows off, YouTube is no longer really advertising these shows until I get back into rhythm. So instead of getting like 50 plus viewers as we were getting, I'm now on 20 plus, which isn't bad. I'm very happy with the people that we have here. But when it comes to growth, it's very beneficial to never have a break. YouTube doesn't like it when you have a break. Buzzpedal said if Ronda has a heel turn, I imagine she'll be campaigning for the Thunderdome to return so she doesn't have to hear the crowd. To be fair, that may be the answer to all of the issues right now when it comes to Ronda Rousey and the championship. Just turn her heel. Turn her heel. She can wrestle Naomi, she can wrestle Sasha. She can wrestle Lacey Evans as she is now. Suddenly there's options all over the place. She can wrestle Aaliyah. Hector says, I wonder if Roman's reduced dates could affect Saudi shows. I'd assume not, but wishful thinking. They will save dates for Roman to go on the Saudi shows. Roman does not have an issue working in Saudi, and when it comes to the money involved, he'll probably take it. Jay Quick says, could we get AJ and Finn versus Edge and Priest in the cell? We could, and I like that prospect. I do think, though, we may end up getting the 6-person tag when you throw in Rhea and Liv in addition to that. Steve says, I can see a rematch of Bloodline versus our Clay Bro in the cell to delay the title matches to the Stadium show. Will be the first time since 6-man Hell in a Cell match since Armageddon 2000, and what a match that was. The Usos and the New Day showed that you can go tornado tag in a cell and it still works. Now, we may have too many when it comes to 6, but I'm still not going to complain at that. Dematar says, I can see Judgment Day versus Bullet Club and Liv in the cell. Could be fun. Could be glorious carnage. You know, you have glorious purpose. Let's have some glorious carnage as well. Noob says Cody versus Seth in a cell, Asuka versus Becky in a cell, Bullet Club 2.0 versus Judgment Day in a cell. I only see one of those personally. Spider-Ball says, who will be Roman's opponent for Hell in a Cell? I'm not sure. I don't necessarily know that he'll have one, but it could certainly be Shinsuke Nakamura at this point, while they kill time before giving Drew McIntyre the opportunity at maybe SummerSlam time. Shinsuke Nakamura was reintroduced to the Roman Reigns storyline after all. Dimitar says, hopefully the women's tag belts made the pay-per-view this time. Hopefully a lot of belts make the pay-per-view this time. Hopefully just a lot more. Ricochet needs a bit of direction. We've got something going on for the United States Championship, but they could certainly do more. Jermaine says... let's just quickly check, because everyone's responding to Ed, and I don't know what Ed apparently said. Can't see it. Can't see it. Clearly something about tag teams. Oop, hang on, I gotta catch up again. Still have the New Day, the Usos, McIntyre, Ronda and Sasha, so you do have enough on the SmackDown side, plenty on the Raw side for star power for house. This is a house show conversation, got it. Joey says, do you know what they plan on doing for LA Knight and his new faction? Slow build, slow burn, in eventually having it as a competitor for the club and the like. It's going to be a heel faction, but it's going to be quite low down on the card. Kura says Roman Reigns is getting paid bread. He's getting paid more than anyone, by sounds of it, in wrestling right now. Simon says, I just want Raw to have a top champion on the men's side once again. Me too. The unification does not work for me. I don't know why they did it. Megan says, Charlotte said back in April in an interview with BT Sport, her wedding was this summer in Mexico. She was deliberately avoiding the question over how much time she's taking off. And I think that's fair. They don't want to ruin it. They don't want to just spoil the surprise, as it were. Charlotte Flair returning will be a big deal. We will miss her. You don't want to have an interview where it's like, okay, so what's the plan? And Roman sits there and goes, okay, on this pay-per-view I'm going to lose this championship. On this pay-per-view I'm going to lose this championship. Then I'm going to take 3 months and 17 days off. Eventually come back to attack Drew McIntyre from behind. You don't want that. But every interviewer wants that. Every interviewer is desperate for hashtag the scoops. John says, Roman higher paid than Becky. As of right now, yes. Thomas says, how long do you think till Naomi will turn heel? I don't think too long. Because, you know, there's no tag teams for them to go against. So they have to lose it at some point, probably to Nikki Cross and Doudrop. Though, of course, losing it to Ronda and Shayna Baszler is an option. That could be fun. For example, at Money in the Bank, we could have Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler beating Sasha Banks and Naomi for the championships. Then Naomi turns heel. We have Naomi versus Sasha at SummerSlam. Then we have Sasha versus Charlotte shortly afterwards. Meanwhile, Naomi goes up against Ronda Rousey. It works for me. Absolutely works for me. Spider-Boss says, if the plan still being Ronda versus Becky for Mania 39, does Becky get drafted to SmackDown or Ronda go to Raw? They're not sure. They don't know. They know they're going to have the match. It's also certainly possible that neither of them get drafted. And in fact, let's say Ronda loses the championship, wins the Royal Rumble for a second year in a row, and then says, yeah, I want Becky this time. Already beat Charlotte, I want Becky. Ed says, nobody should ever have to wrestle Aaliyah. Just kidding, but seriously shocked she is still there. They seem to think that she's going to be top tier. Otherwise, they wouldn't still have her. I don't want to be negative at all, but I so far have not been that impressed. Jermaine says, if done right, you can probably get Sasha and Naomi versus Natalya and Shayna inside Hell in a Cell. I think we're getting very close to the point of saying, screw it, let's have every single match of the pay-per-view inside a cell. You don't need this. You absolutely do not need this. In no way do you need this. So I'd rather have 2 or 3 matches. Cody versus Seth. RK Bro versus the Usos. I'd leave it there. Megan says, I'm wondering how long they're going to hold off on debuting/re-debuting LA Knight, Mace and Mansoor. They are developing the characters a little bit. They're essentially giving them a bit of an NXT 2.0 rebrand before they're ready to then reappear. When it comes to potential opponents, I'm thinking Ali's going to build himself a little group. And it could be fun. Brandon says they should have made Sheamus a top face or heel to compete with Roman, Drew, etc. on SmackDown. I agree. I absolutely agree. Sheamus is top tier. They just don't book him that way and they keep forgetting he's there. Simon says, is the Jericho Appreciation Society versus LAX, Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz going to be in the Blood and Guts match? I have no idea. I don't watch closely enough to know. Steve says, is this a good opportunity to bring back Bayley or Alexa for SmackDown to challenge Ronda Rousey for the championship? Yes, though I think it's also a good opportunity to bring Alexa back on Raw to challenge Bianca for the championship. Neither of the women's champions really have ideal opponents right now. Rhea Ripley's an obvious one potentially, but it hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. Andrew Quinn says, wow, Tom, WWE have confirmed Cody versus Theory for US title tonight. Told you it wouldn't take long. I told you it would not take long for Cody Rhodes to be somehow involved in and around the United States Championship. He won't be winning. I think, honestly, Seth Rollins will get involved. It'll be one of those matches that just sort of ends and nobody really understands what's going on. Could be fun, though. I mean, it's a big deal for Theory, again. Megan says, I will say about last night, once I realised it was nice to have the simple, this is a Raw half for the show, this is a SmackDown half, so those in the booth aren't having a changeover all the time. I agree. Also, it was a really compact show. It was just a 3-hour show featuring a lot of wrestling matches. You know? I enjoyed it. I don't think it was, world-beating. I wouldn't watch it again, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. Simon says, not more than Brock Goldberg part-timers. You say that, you might be wrong. Also, isn't Roman technically a part-timer with this deal? Megan says, could be a nice touch for the smaller events going forward. True. Sean says, Sasha turns heel on Naomi. No, I very much see Naomi turning heel on Sasha and joining the Bloodline. It makes more sense to me. Bailey says, signing Reigns to limited dates is a smart move. Otherwise, WWE runs the risk he becomes a Cena-like part-timer in Hollywood. I did already make a video on Roman Reigns and Hollywood. It was about a lot of other people in Hollywood as well. There doesn't seem to be that much interest at the moment, though certainly him announcing, oh, I might be available, may change that in a hurry. Spider-Boss says, what if Sasha turns heel and betrays Naomi during the summer? Sasha loves to be heel. So does Naomi. Basically, every time anyone says this person should turn heel on this person, the automatic reality and response will be, oh, but this person should turn heel on this person. I know that. I think Naomi should turn heel on Sasha. That's just me fantasy booking. Joey says, I think SmackDown needs to start utilising their mid-card division and give Ricochet new opponents. I agree. I absolutely agree. Let's get Ricochet versus Butch. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Spider Boss says, if Bayley comes back, I hope she doesn't lose clean against Ronda. It depends. If the plan is, at this point, to turn Ronda heel, who better than Bayley? Genuinely, who better than Bayley for it? Simon says, TNA Impact Lockdown have every match inside the steel cage, including the big war games like Lethal Lockdown main event. Yet, that doesn't necessarily mean we need to do that with Hell in a Cell. I personally would rather we did. Spider Boss says, I would love to see Cody versus Seth versus Theory, the USA title on the line. Well, only if Theory runs away with it and keeps it. Let's see if they keep it. Sean is asking for a source on the Theory-Cody match. So, just to clarify, I believe it was Andrew Quinn. Where did the WWE report this match, Andrew? Steve says the crowd reaction to Randy Orton last night was loud, especially the RKO on Reigns. Should WWE looking to do Orton versus Reigns in a title match? Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I would certainly be looking at Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton in a cell. These two do have a lot of history, but we haven't seen them one-on-one in quite a long time. So give me that. I think Nakamura is next up. We've got Randy Orton available. We've got Drew McIntyre still waiting for his turn. There's possibilities here. There are opponents for Roman. They just don't feel like an actual threat to him in any way, shape or form. Austin says, got to give Tom credit. He called that with Cody in the US title. Cody wants it. Cody wants to be involved around the United States Championship picture. It's his character. It kind of works for him. Okay. Thank you, Connor, for posting that in Discord. You say it's going around. So, where from? Is it on WWE.com? Let's have a look on WWE.com at the official preview that they've done, because that looks like the preview image. Let's see if it's real. Here's a thing I need everyone to focus on, okay? Yep, it is real. The Raw preview does state Cody Rhodes to challenge Theory for the United States title. But yeah, when an image is going around on Twitter, I find it very telling when they hide the source. Like that's upsetting for me. They shouldn't do that. But yes, it was absolutely correct. Dimitar says, both are super over. I don't think anyone should turn, but if someone has to turn, it has to be Naomi. Sasha's flip-flopped too much at this point and the crowd won't boo her anyways. I think Naomi could do with a reinvention as well, to be honest. Going heel works for that. Spider-Boss says, how long until we see Mandy Rose back in the main roster? There were plans to have her backup already as part of Smackdown. Those plans were nixed with the return of Triple H to NXT. Steve says, I'm enjoying Butch in WWE so far. He's maximising his minutes so well. He is, and that's very, very true. He's certainly gaining a lot of traction and getting a lot of attention. Positive, negative, whatever you want to call it. People know who the guy is. Sean says, do you think Alexa is at Raw tonight? If not, she could face Bianca at Money in the Bank. I don't know, but I certainly think that is a logical opportunity for Alexa versus Bianca. Bianca does need a new opponent, and why not? Lance says, Cody would be great running a US title open challenge program. Completely agreed. That's exactly what I think will eventually happen at the very least. Cody with that open challenge, facing people lower down the card, as it were. Definitely could see that. Joey says, do you know what matches or segments we could be getting tonight? So far, the only one announced is Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. And Megan says, WWE literally just tweeted out the graphic with Cody and Theory about 30 seconds ago. Yep, the social media teams don't always work in unison. Also, to be fair, it may be a very, very late decision to have that match, so they can't really work in unison with that in mind. Simon says, your thoughts on the Mane to Bayern Munich transfer? There is always rumours of Mane leaving. There has been since the day he arrived. Sai says, Tom, do you know how much of a role Triple H had in NXT now? Is he back in his old stone? Pretty much, yep. He hasn't taken over fully, but he's taken the seat back. John says, I don't see Cody losing. He will either win by DQ or he'll be in no contest. Yep, no contest. Theory is not losing the championship this quickly, surely. And that is all the questions and comments that I have. I've read out every single one of them. We have 45 minutes in, and I'm going to wrap it up there because, to be honest, I was up until 5 a.m. yesterday Tom's tired. Tom's very tired. And Tom can't go to sleep yet. They got drama to deal with. Sucks. Steve says, fantasy booking idea. On Gunter to move to Raw in the draft, bring back the European title, trying to get it to replace the United States title. If Cody was US champ at the time, could be a fun one. Could be. Absolutely could be. And Megan says Cody will lose via Seth. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Right. I gotta head off. Thank you everyone for joining me. All of the 16 people who clicked like, I appreciate you. Everyone who's been here for the whole show. Everyone who even dropped in briefly for the show last night. Big thank you to everyone. I've been Tom Collihew. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.